Hey guys, this is Greg with Medical Muscle. In this video, I'm going to talk about the 5 mistakes I made during clinicals that would have helped me tremendously. So let's get into it. Number 1 is not using Anki enough. So I kind of dropped Anki as I got through term 4, term 5, because at that point I found questions to be more effective. And for the vast majority of your medical education, doing questions is the best thing you can do. But in each specialty, there is a lot of information. There are a lot of drugs. There's a lot of different systems. And there's problems that can occur in every system. It's hard to be reminded of all those things just through questions. Let's say on a good day, you may get through 60 to 100 questions, but you could easily go through 200 to 300 Anki cards a day. So I felt like Anki is an effective way just to get quick facts, because as much as step 2 is really testing your comprehension with all these different things and test taking skills and all that, you do need to memorize things, and Anki is a good way to memorize those little quick facts. So point number 2 is not doing enough questions. So for each shelf exam, I was doing all the UWorld questions for that specialty and doing all the NBMEs, practice NBMEs I could get my hands on. It made the most sense because UWorld is really what you're going to be tested on in step 2, and NBMEs, that's the shelf exam. It just made the most sense to me. And what I would do is I would just take the number of UWorld questions and divide it by the days that I needed to do to complete all the UWorld questions, basically 1 week, at least 1 week prior to the shelf exam. So I had some time to go through some wrong answers or whatever. The problem with doing that is sometimes you don't have enough questions in that process. So for example, during surgery, I had 12 weeks and you only have about, I think it was just under 700 questions in UWorld for surgery. That's really not that much for a 12-week rotation. And I learned very quickly that I needed to supplement my knowledge base with AMBOSS. AMBOSS was very helpful for surgery and IM and those kind of things, because UWorld's great. It covers a lot of different medicine, but it can't cover everything. There's just not enough variety that you could get. So you do have to supplement that variety with something like AMBOSS. I felt like AMBOSS was good because it's hard and they ask questions in a different way that UWorld and NBME just don't ask. So it was a nice supplement, but I wish I did this earlier. Point number 3 also has to do with questions. I wish I did step 2 dedicated UWorld questions during each clinical rotation. So what do I mean? So on the UWorld tab, there's like a step 2 dedicated UWorld question bank. In my mind, I thought, I'm going to save that for when I start doing dedicated step 2 study. That makes sense, right? But in reality, I only had 3.5 weeks of study during step 2, and I didn't get through every single question. So I think it would have been better to break into that step 2 dedicated question bank, because then if I happen to go through the whole thing by the end of dedicated, then I could do like AMBOSS or something else. Okay, so I wish I did that earlier. It would have been good to get more variety in questions. Okay, this is point number 4, and this is a big one. I wish I started listening to Divine Intervention way earlier. Okay, if you don't know who this guy is, he's a doctor that's on Spotify. He does these podcasts on different topics. They're haphazard, they're kind of crazy, but they're actually very good and very helpful. So he's kind of all over the place in his podcasts. And that was something I had trouble getting over in the beginning. After a while, I realized it's actually a good way to think about medicine in that way, where if you're thinking about penicillin, then you should think about all the things that penicillin can treat, but then think about who you shouldn't give penicillin to, and then what other medications, if they can't have penicillin, should they also not take? And if they do take penicillin, then what should you do in a situation where they have an allergic reaction? Like that kind of thought process, okay? The infectious part, what it treats, what are some of the adverse effects, What do you do to treat that adverse effect? That kind of stream of thinking. And his podcasts are really good. And I wish I started doing it earlier because it's so nice. You, on your drive to the hospital, just put a podcast on, listen to it. Or you're working out, listen to the podcast. So divine intervention. I'm going to link that below. So point number 5 is not asking for enough letters of recommendation. So ERAS allows you to upload 4 letters of recommendation. And so in my mind, I thought, well, I need to get 4 letters of recommendation because that's all I can get, right? Interestingly, I found later, not everybody uploads things on time. And as I got closer to ERAS, I got very nervous because there are some programs that will absolutely not look at your application if you don't have at least 3 letters of recommendation. So you're screwed. If you only have 2 and you're waiting on a 3rd and ERAS is open for these residency programs to now start looking at applications, they're gonna miss yours, right? They're gonna miss yours because you only have 2. So obviously you need to get at least 3. You should go for 4, always. And ask early, ask everybody. Anybody that you have a good connection with, that you've had maybe a personal connection with, or you've really got to prove yourself in the medicine, get a letter from them. I think it's good to ask a variety of specialists too. Just say if you're going into IM, you can go with all the subspecialties, endocrine, rheumatology, infectious disease, anybody who you had a really good experience with, you can ask them. It doesn't have to just be pure IM like a hospitalist. It can be one of the subspecialties too. Okay, cardiology, that's another example. So, guys, those are my 5 mistakes. You can learn from my mistakes. All right, guys, I wish you the best and keep kicking butt.